All right, I am Katie Gibbs. I am the Director of Operations and Membership here at Phi Alpha Delta. I have been with Phi Alpha Delta for 12 years, so some of you might have met me while you were pre-laws before you moved on to law school. I'm also joined today by
Hi, I'm Zena Strench. I'm the chapter operations coordinator here at the EO. I'm sure I've emailed a lot of you and we've been in correspondence, but if not, hi.
All right, so I do have a little bit of a presentation to go to today just to talk about the spring semester and what we have up. But I just want to remind all of you that this is your time. So if you have questions, feel free to unmute, raise your hand, put it in the chat. This time is really for you. Zena and I already know this information, so we hope that this is helpful for all of you as you go through the spring semester and have a great semester with your students. So let's kick it off with the executive office. We are a staff of 7. We are small but mighty. All of us that you see listed here, our 9 to 5 full-time job is making sure that you have what you need as chapter leaders and as a chapter to be able to operate and bring all of the resources that Phi Alpha Delta has to your members. So if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to contact us. It's really our pleasure to help. We are open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 Eastern time. We are always trying to be conscious of the different time zones. We know that we have members from all across the country, all across the world. So we are as accommodating as we can be. You've met me and Zena, but I'm sure some of you guys know Andrew Sagan. He's our executive director. Leslie Plummer, she's in charge of our tech services. She sends out all those emails to you. She keeps our website nice and updated. We have 3 staff members that have started within the last year. One of them is LaShate Grayson. She's our director of leadership development and DEI initiatives. If leadership is something that you guys struggle with, she's really going to be a great person for you. And she also has a lot of good background for recruitment. Zena, you've met. She's our chapter operations coordinator. If you're not sure who to contact, I would start with Zena. Zena really has a lot of kind of those frequently asked questions. She's going to be able to help you with that. We have Summer Stevens. She's also started within the past year. She is our communications and marketing coordinator. She is in charge of a lot of our social media right now. If you're not following us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, she does a lot of those posts there, and you'll see some fun reels. Danielle Knott, she is our front office coordinator. She keeps everything running smoothly for us. She's the one who ships out of our merchandise. She ships out of our recruitment boxes. And she does a lot of our financing stuff as well. So this is your executive office staff. Please reach out to us. You are never a bother. If you don't hear back, please give us a call. All right. So the executive office staff, we are all here as your resources, but there are a ton of resources available for you on the PAD website. Everything that we are going to talk about today is on the PAD website, and more specifically, pad.org/resources and policies. I hear from a lot of our chapters that you were just handed this chapter and you don't know where to start. You can start right here with our guides and manuals. We have a new officer resource guide, a chapter operations guide, and your model bylaws. With those 3 documents, you are going to be able to run your chapter. You do not have to start from scratch. We already have the structure and the framework available for you. Everything on this page is also there's forms and applications that you need if you need a membership roster, if you need to get your certificates and pins, if you want to get that recruitment box that we were talking about. If you don't know where to start with the executive office staff, you start with Zena. If you don't know where to start on our website, start with this resources and policies page. I promise you there's so much good information on there. This is going to be, I'm trying to go through this presentation really fast because I want to make sure you all have time to talk. But if you ever want to dive into anything deeper, we can schedule a virtual chapter visit or maybe even an in-person visit. Zena and I can meet with your chapters about operations, programming, those types of things. And we also have, like I said earlier, we have LaShate who can talk about our recruitment, leadership, and any kind of DEI efforts. I'm just going to pause and take a breath. Do we have any questions at this point? Anything burning in your mind that you really need to get out? Please, I really welcome questions, hand raising, unmuting. We are here for you today. All right, Natalie, I'm so glad you win a prize for being the first one. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Love to hear what you have to say.
Hi there. I'm so sorry I can't have my camera on. I'm having some technical issues.
We
But
understand.
hi. I was just wondering if there's any way that we can access just like the rosters without requesting it through a form every time. I mean, I don't know if I'm just like missing something, but we're a newly reactivated chapter, so we're constantly adding new people and they're trickling in, and elections are happening, so we're trying to get like as many people as possible on board with us. So it's just like I don't know, it would just be easier to be able to see exactly when we have new members and plan our initiations without having to like go through the form if there's any way to do that. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's a great question. So I understand if you don't want to fill out a form. If you don't want to fill out a form, email Zena. Zena is pooling rosters all day, every day. Um, so I would say that's the first thing. I mean, the best way to get your membership roster is really to request it from us. But there are other ways that you can get kind of a pulse on your membership. You can also access your chapter roster through our website. If you go to pad.org, you have to be logged in and you can access our directory. And from there, you can search by your chapter and by member types. So you can pull a list from the directory on pad.org. It's just not as clean as the one that we are able to provide for you. Um, the other thing that some of our chapters do is you can ask that members forward you their paid invoice. So when a member submits their membership application and their international initiation fee, our system will immediately email them a paid invoice. So sometimes that's what our chapters do if there's like last minute adding on. So requesting the roster from us is best. You can do it through the form or by email, and you can also access your roster through the directory on pad.org. I
Okay,
really
perfect.
appreciate you kicking off with a question. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you. Thank you so much. And mainly, I just don't want to overwhelm Zena. I feel like I'm just like constantly asking for things.
That's my
Thank
job.
you so much.
It's
Yep.
literally our job. We're happy to do it. Oscar, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you, Natalie, raising a really big concern from our chapter, specifically when it comes to elections. We have elections happening on Tuesday, so we would very much like to have that updated list from the PAD website. Is there a way you could walk us through how to get that? Because you mentioned we could get like a less pretty version of it in some way, just so that we know who is a paid member so that they're eligible to vote.
Okay. Um, I'm not comfortable enough with screen sharing to do that, but you log in to pad.org. Under members, there's one of the links is directory. From directory, you can select your membership types, which is going to be law student, pending, and pending payment, and then choose your chapter. And that's going to give you that list that you're looking for. Since we're here, law student member means that someone has submitted a membership application and payment, and their initiation ceremonies, their initiation materials, which is their certificate and PIN, has been sent. A lot of times people ask, what does PN pending mean? PN pending means they've submitted their membership application, they've submitted their payment, but we have not yet mailed out their certificate and PIN. Pending students are eligible to be initiated and they are eligible to run for an officer position. That is just how we keep track of whose certificates and pins have been sent. PP is pending payment. They haven't paid their initiation fee, so they are not eligible for membership or officer elections. All right, Yvette, I see you have a hand raised.
Hi, Katie. Um, I have like a question and a comment. It's all built in together. So,
Great.
as a newly formed chapter, Albert Tuttle chapter, um, is there this is more feedback. Is there like a mentoring program for new chapter? Because the reason why I say this is because we did not have a district justice. And so we had a lot of pain points having to navigate the waters and ask questions and get up and running. Feedback would be to create, maybe there is one and we just weren't aware of it, a mentoring from a already established chapter that can kind of be there to kind of help a new chapter go through some of these pain points. I know there's a lot of resources there. It is a little overwhelming to have all these resources, especially when you're in school and you're working full time and you know you're trying to navigate the waters, and we're getting emails from you guys saying we need this, and we need that, or you know, what do we want our meetings to look like? How do we structure it? It would be nice to have a buddy system with another established chapter. And I'll just leave it there. But does that already exist? And we just didn't know because we didn't have a district justice until just this month? Or is this something that you might entertain?
Yvette, you are so on the money right now. I actually had a meeting with our executive office staff today, literally discussing creating an onboarding program for our newly chartered and newly reactivated chapters. So, yes, that is something in the works, but I don't want you to feel like you have nothing. So definitely start with that new officer resource guide. And like you said, we are going to email you every time that we need something. Um, so yes, we hear that concern. I see that concern, and we will be addressing that. I do want to create an onboarding program for our new chapters, and I love considering doing a mentoring program with maybe a more established chapter. Um, Usually your district justice can kind of fill that role, but I think that I really appreciate those comments. And I just want you all to know here, um, every decision that we make here at Phi Alpha Delta is based on the feedback of our members. We are a membership organization, and our mission is to serve all of you. So when we hear your feedback, we make those changes. We change our agendas for our events to what people ask for. We will create those resources that you need. So I really appreciate you bringing that up.
Thank you.
A question that was dropped in the chat that I think we could dive into later was how to increase engagement, which is something that we get often. So we'll have to, that's probably later on, we'll dive deeper into that.
That is definitely going to be a big topic of discussion today. I am going to move on to the next slide because I think we are going to hit on a lot of what you guys are mentioning. So these are your spring semester priorities. I like to keep it short and simple. Number one is chapter elections and officer transitions. If you guys don't already have a date for your elections, you need to be setting that date like ASAP. Officer transitions, I would say, is the most important part of operating a chapter. Our chapters go inactive because either the chapter does not hold elections, you can't find students to run for leadership, or there was no officer transition, so they have no idea what to do. So elections and officer transitions are definitely going to be a big topic on today's discussion. We're also going to talk about recruitment. We can't talk about recruitment without talking about chapter programming. And a big part of that is engagement. I would say membership engagement is one of the top issues that I hear from our chapters. I'm not going to spend a lot of time about planning and fundraising for convention in 2026, but it is something that I want you all to start thinking about this semester and folding into your programming and fundraising efforts, because we want to see every chapter represented at convention with your delegates, and we want to make sure that those law school student voices are heard at convention. All right, so I want to open it up for discussion. I know we have a lot of people in this room, and you all are the ones with the experience of doing this. So I want to hear from you. How does your chapter structure elections? How do you identify those future leaders? How do you know when do you start identifying those future leaders to run for those officer roles? So I want to see some hands raised. I want to see some people going off mute. How does your chapter structure elections, and how do you identify those future leaders?
I see Yvette has her hands up.
Go ahead, Yvette.
Hi, we're an online school, so we did ours online. We work with our student life people, and they created a nomination form. And so those members that were interested filled out the nominations. We're actually in the process of voting this week. So we should have ours named for those roles that where we did not have someone, I had reached out to find out what happens if no one submits a name. I was told that you guys would reach out to people. However, we took the initiative and I reached out to some people to see, based on what I've observed in our classroom or my experience with them, where they've demonstrated organizational skills or leadership skills to encourage them to apply. And that seemed to have been successful.
Great.
Great.
We did the same presentation yesterday for our pre-law chapters, and I'm interested to hear from the law school chapters who holds their elections in person versus virtually. So in the chat, if you hold them in person, let's do a smiley face for in person. If you do them virtually, let's do a thumbs up. I don't have the chat open, Zena, so if you could tell me what kind of what you're seeing in there, holding your elections virtually versus in person. In person's a happy face, virtually is a thumbs up.
Oh, hold on a second. I got a lot of people joining. Okay. 1 second.
All right. Is it Subhan? I saw your hand up next. Do you want to talk about your elections at your chapter?
Hi, yeah. So our law school had an engagement
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I
problem.
pause?
Yeah,
So fraternity tradition is when you introduce yourself by name and chapter. And if you want to say your law school name too, just so that we can all get to know each other a little bit better.
yeah. My name is Subhan Saeed. I'm the justice of the Christiancy chapter at Cooley Law School.
So
Um,
glad you're here today.
yeah. So my question was related to elections because we had our elections a little bit late last year because the previous officers couldn't find people to take over. Um, so we kind of just started our term in September. So would we have to still hold an election this cycle? Just because I don't think anyone's going to run from our law school. What's your thoughts on that?
Okay. I'm going to suggest that yes, you still hold an election, even if everyone is just rerunning for the same positions that they already hold. That way, your chapter gets back onto fraternity schedule because all of the communications that we have with you as officers is based on this election in February. So that way, you'll get all those new officer communications and things like that. So I would say yes, still hold it.
Okay. Could I ask an unrelated question?
Of course.
So it's actually related to our chapter name. I know either you or Zena, one of you, emailed us about the confusion between the Christiancy chapter and the Cooley chapter. And a lot of people are assuming that we're the Cooley chapter because our law school is called Cooley Law School. We were wondering if we could maybe switch names with Wayne State just to eliminate that confusion.
So when
Um,
chapters are chartered, they choose their namesake. There is a process that you can go through to change your chapter name. Um, so we can talk about that, but there is a process to change the chapter name. I understand the confusion, but in the meantime, we definitely just have to keep that communication with our members. But if you want to send me an email, I can talk to you about the process of getting your chapter namesake changed. Um, and we'll see how that goes.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Isaiah, I think I saw your hand was up next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Isaiah Price. I'm from the Tarot chapter at Southern University Law Center in Baton Rouge. Sorry, I'm currently in a loud area, moving to a quieter area. But I am the treasurer of our chapter, and how we have decided to allow everyone to sign a Google form notifying who they're going to nominate for each position of the e-board. And then once nominations have been submitted, we then have them, the people who have been nominated, accept the nominations And as a board, we allow them to campaign. We allow them to, stay while they feel like they're ready for the position. And then we conduct the elections and do the transfer of power, have them shadow the officer once they've been elected to the position. So that's kind of how we are structured. And what we're looking for in future leaders is really just anyone who embodies the principles of PAD and who's relatable, who wants to put the work in. And I think those are some notable qualities.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you touched on that I think is very important is that shadowing part of it. A lot of times the shadowing doesn't start until after you've been elected into that role. But one of our chapters suggested that they start the shadowing role during the nominations process to see if that actually is a role that you want to hold. So thank you for sharing what works for you. You guys are a strong chapter. So definitely like to hear from your experience as well. Alex,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. Alex, you were the next one with your hand raised. Would love to hear from you.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm Justice of the Sullivan J chapter at SLU Law. We are a super community heavy law school, so a lot of us are super busy and super involved in a ton of other orgs. So what works best for us is like a Google Doc, or not a Google Doc, like a anonymous Google form, just for like time's sake. But what we do is we do kind of an explanation of our roles, and then like are really open about like what it requires and the time commitment, and then allow people to apply, and then we post their bios and whatnot and allow them to be voted on. So that's kind of how we do it. I feel like that's a little more practical for us rather than doing in person. So that's how we've been doing it, and it's been going well.
Good. I'm really glad to hear that the online elections are working for you all. We completely understand that the world is changing and people do want more options of not just meeting in person. So glad to hear that that's working.
Excuse me, Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
I believe there's some people in the waiting room. Not sure. I was getting some messages
There
about
are
that
not
from
right
people.
now.
Okay, awesome.
I
Thank
keep
you.
seeing that message, but we have no one in the waiting room right now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
No, not a problem. We would definitely want them to be here and hearing this. But if anybody is in the waiting room, just make sure that they have their name up. We don't want any Zoom bombers.
Yeah.
Okay. Daniel, I saw your hand was raised next. Would love to hear from you.
Daniel Kolodny, Justice Carmody chapter, also chair of the subcommittee 1 of the LSAC.
Can you tell people what the LSAC is?
It's the Law Student Advisory Council, and we advise the IEB on matters that relate to law students, and then we're also working on building up resources for law students to help them be able to succeed in the PAD family. So that's been a very enjoyable experience and a really cool learning opportunity to learn more about the fraternity and everything that relates to it.
Thank you for your service on that committee.
Moving on to elections, which is the matter at hand. So as a hybrid chapter, having the largest ABA accredited virtual JD, the JDI program here at Syracuse University College of Law, we hold a hybrid meeting to allow for nominations and candidate speeches. And then we record that meeting, publish the speeches, and then allow for voting for an extended period because not everyone can make that meeting using a virtual form. And, something that the LSAC has been working on is improving virtual chapter operations. And so that's been very cool to be a part of how to best implement virtual chapter operations and then getting to implement them in my chapter.
I really look forward to what you guys have as suggestions on that because it's changing rapidly and we definitely want to meet our members where they're at. I love a hybrid option. I'm still a person who prefers in person. So I love that people have that option to either be in person or the hybrid with the recordings and things like that. So looking forward to seeing your guys' report. All right, Justin, I see your hand was raised.
Hey guys, how are we doing?
Great.
Sorry about that. I was trying to figure out the camera situation, but I'm just logging on my laptop at the moment. Everyone can hear me and see me well?
We sure can.
Okay. So it might have cut off when I was transitioning from the laptop to the computer. So the hand was for in person, correct?
Whatever you want to share about.
Okay, perfect. No. So I was just saying right now, Phi Alpha Delta Rockefeller chapter at Albany Law School is currently holding their election. And we're actually going through the process of students specifically. So within our bylaws, we currently have where 2Ls or rising 1Ls are the only people allowed to run. And then 2Ls would be the individuals in the executive board. And then the graduating, I guess, members going into their third year, excuse me, would be the members that would also be in contact with the current or the brand new e-board. So that way they have some sort of shadowing system, individuals that they always have someone to fall back on. So that's kind of the way the Rockefeller chapter has been doing it for, I think, the past couple of years. Um, right now, within our election system, we have a group me, we have our Instagram, and we have our LinkedIn. And what we allow our 1Ls to do is go on, we have a Canvas page as well. So within the Canvas page, we have our elections module, and essentially it gives direction on who we are, what we do on the day to day, and what those responsibilities are as that agent for the e-board. And if they have that contact information, they can always, get back to us to figure out what's going on or how to run. And we always get feedback, and we're always reflective on, hey, this is what I do, this is what's happened in the past, and this is what we are looking for in the future. And if they're interested in running, perfect. They could send in a personal statement that is accessible to all Phi Alpha Delta chapter. And based off that, during the election week, members will be able to go over their personal statements. And because we have the benefit of being in person, like a majority of the time, we are also able to have that relationship dynamic where it's just like, oh, I know this person, I like this person, I want to vote for them, right? Let me just refer to their personal statement, just make sure I have everything clear. This is what they want, this is what they've done in the past, and based off that, they will do the voting system. And yeah, that's pretty much how we do it.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate everybody sharing. We are already at 4:30, and I have so much more I want to get through besides elections. So I am going to try to speed through this presentation because I do want to give you all more time to speak. Um, so let me get back to the presentation. Okay, so these are our basics for setting up an election. Not too sure about your bylaws because the model bylaws for law chapters keep our election procedures pretty vague. And we do that intentionally because it should be the decision of each slate of chapter officers to set up how the elections run. You guys all mentioned a lot of these steps, so I don't think that I need to go through them. Big things that I wanted you guys to think about is communication. Make sure that you're communicating with your members in the way that they like to be communicated with, collecting the nominations, publishing the candidate information, and holding the vote. If there is ever any issues that arrive with your voting, I always suggest that you work with your faculty advisor if you have one. If you don't have a faculty advisor, please set that as one of your goals for the next officers. We have been working with these chapters for a long time, and that relationship between the school and the chapter is just going to get more and more important. So if you don't have a faculty advisor, please set that as one of your goals. And then Zena would kill me if I didn't say this. Make sure you send us the new officers. If you do not report your new officers to us, there is no way for us to know. I know you probably have to report them to your school too, but please don't forget about us here at the executive office. As always, we have a form online. That form online is on that resources and policies page, or you can always just email Zena. Bare minimum, we need their name, title, and email address so that we can start communicating fraternity expectations. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Zena?
We had a great question in the chat.
Okay,
Can
great.
officers graduate Can members graduating in the fall run for office?
They can, but I do not suggest it. Um, I'm sure you all know, I know a lot of you are here as officers. That first year of being an officer, you're just trying to learn. So if you only have like one semester to serve in that role, it just does not function that well. I don't want to say that there's a rule against it, but people running for the officer position should be able and willing to serve in their 1 year term. So they shouldn't be graduating until after May of the next year. So they can, but it's certainly not suggested because then you are going to have to hold another special election. There's more of that transition process. And we just don't want any of that knowledge loss. We want to make sure there's lots of time for the shadowing. The other part of this is that any student member in good standing is welcome to run for an officer position, but that means they have to be a member in good standing, which means they've submitted their membership application and their payments. We get officers reported to us all of the time that are not members. They are not in our database. We never got their application or payment, so we cannot list them as officers. So please make sure anyone running for the officer position is a member.
It might be a good idea to request a roster before you start planning your election, just to make sure everyone is eligible to serve. It is a problem we face.
All right, Nicholas, I see your hands up.
Yes, I just had a quick question about good standing. If your law school has certain directives about whether you can run based on GPA, and that's just like an SPA thing, not a like faculty or administrative thing, um, can I use like our bylaws to go over that or go around that?
Okay,
Is that
great question. Thank you so much for asking that. Your school's rules will always supersede our rules. We always want you to follow your school's rules first. So, whatever they say is the standard for officers, that is the standard that we will also go by. So, when we say good standing, when we talk about good standing in our documents, we talk about good standing as defined by your school. We want Phi Alpha Delta and your schools to have a really good relationship. So, yes, please always follow your school's rules first. Great question. All right, I'm going to keep it moving, guys, but please always feel free, raise your hand, put it in the chat. We will do our best to talk about this. So, what was your officer transition experience like? I want you all to start thinking about how you could improve that for future officers. What I hear a lot is I was just handed this chapter and I have no idea what to do. I have no idea where to start. The justice just left and I don't know where anything is. So one of the things that I hear from our chapters, it's kind of old school, but it works, is create a physical binder or a digital OneDrive, a Google Drive, whatever, for each officer position with kind of the tips and tricks of what you have learned throughout your position. We have a lot of resources that we can give you all from the executive office, but each of you has to follow your school's systems and policies and procedures. So if you can create that binder of each position of what you wish you would have known in that position, it's really going to set up the next officers for a better experience. Did anyone have a really good officer transition experience? And can you share with us what made that transition successful? If it wasn't a binder. Did we have any good officer transitions in here? Or did you all have poor officer transitions? All right, Don, go ahead.
Hi, Don J. Sullivan chapter. I'm the marshal. I think I had a good officer transition. It was a one-on-one conversation, but the reason I thought it was good was she went over not only what the specific job duties are, but duties that kind of fell into the marshal position over time or duties that were moved around. So if you looked just at code somewhere on what the job is, the job description, it wouldn't necessarily encompass everything. So she kind of encompassed everything in the organization and then worked in here's what your main job is, here's where the role traditionally helps in other positions, things like that.
Great. we really need that student experience in that transition process. So I'm really glad that that's what she did. We always joke around that it's like other duties as assigned. So if you can kind of discuss those ahead of time, so people know what to expect, that is great. I'm going to keep moving along. So here is a checklist that we provide for you all for your officer transition. This is available in our chapter operations guide and in our new officer resource guide. The big one is transferring those accounts and passwords. It's great if you all create those OneDrives or those Google Drives, but if the new officers aren't able to access them, then kind of useless. The transferring of your membership materials. Do you guys have an office or a mailbox on campus? Do they know how to access that? The big one that I want to talk about is certificates and pins. It is the duty of you all as chapter officers to distribute those certificates and pins, whether those students are able to attend your ceremony or not. We do expect that you all distribute those certificates and pins. If you never hear from them, if they never respond to you, that's fine. And we also have the option that people can request their materials from the executive office directly, but there is a fee. So your certificate and pin are included with your membership, with the expectation that you'll be receiving those materials from your officers. Definitely a big part of that is ensuring that you're in compliance with your school, follow your school rule first, and meet those deadlines for funding. We'll talk a little bit about Convention 2026, but a lot of our chapters are able to attend with a combination of funding, but a big chunk of that is going to be from your school. So let's have a great relationship with your school. Whoever disperses those funds, make sure that they love Phi Alpha Delta. So when it comes time for you to ask for money, they're going to give it to you. That's kind of like a recruitment tip too. Get somebody from the SGA to be a Phi Alpha Delta member so that they will be advocating for you. We talked about this, discussed the duties of each position, create a binder. I think the big thing you guys should be doing as you're transitioning is doing your calendar for the fall. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Your calendar is your best recruitment tool. So the earlier you can start planning, the better. We don't always need exact dates and locations, but to know that that planning process is happening. And you can do that by discussing what worked last year and what didn't. A lot of our successful chapters have like a hallmark event that they hold every semester or every fall. So start thinking about what kind of legacy, what kind of culture do you all want to create with your chapter through your programming. Establishing future goals. We would love to see you all at mock trial. We have 28 teams competing next month. And then we also have convention coming up in Portland in 2026. That is convention is where our law student and alumni members all come together every other summer. I'm going to push this again. If you don't already have a faculty advisor, please set that as one of your future goals. The faculty advisor just needs to fill out a membership application with us so that they can start getting some of our faculty communications. It should not be a huge time commitment from them. Anyone who is like the favorite professor on campus or someone who's going to be a good advocate, that's who we want in that role. And I think you'll be surprised if you start asking around and you see a lot of your professors actually are Phi Alpha Delta members and maybe they joined in law school. Zena, I'll let you go over award applications.
So some of the awards we have are for, justice, vice justice, clerk, treasurer. We also have for individual events. We have recruitment events, professional, and philanthropy. So you can submit those at any time. So we suggest after every notable event you do, you just go ahead and submit an application. And awards are given out at the conference each year.
Yes.
Every other year. So we highly recommend submitting an award. We don't want the same chapters winning the same awards. If someone was truly special as an officer for you, I would go ahead and submit an award for them.
And it's also another leadership opportunity. You can have an awards chair where their whole job is just to fill out those applications after your really good events. All right. So we had questions that were submitted ahead of the today's session, how to best connect with the PAD professionals in your area. Number one is going to be your DJs. These are the DJs. You are seeing that there are some vacancies. If you have a DJ and you have not connected with them, those are your boots on the ground. These are Phi Alpha Delta members. They have been in your shoes before. They have served as chapter leaders. And they're going to be the ones who are going to be able to connect you with the other alumni in your area. If you do not have a district justice in your area, you can reach out to us here at the executive office. We can pull a list for you. We can kind of go through it and give you some good contacts. There is a directory available online. You can search by area, by membership type, practice area. So I would search by alumni entertainment practice area in your if you want. We also have alumni chapters. So see if there's an alumni chapter in your area. They might want to be able to connect with your chapter as well. And Daniel, as you heard earlier, he is on our LSAC, that's our Law Student Advisory Council. They're also working on some more resources to be able to connect you all with the professionals. I hear from our DJs and our alumni that they do reach out to our law school chapters and don't hear back. So the alumni members want to connect with you all. We are definitely an organization that wants everybody's success. So they are climbing those ladders and reaching back out to pull you back out. So the alumni are there. They want to help you. We are the largest legal organization behind the American Bar Association. So no matter what you're looking for, we are going to be able to find that connection for you. Kirsten, I see your hand is raised.
Hi, Kirsten over at the Humphrey chapter. How are y'all doing? Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Fantastic. Someone had typed this in the chat, and I would just like to clarify, are all elections due by February 15th? Like everyone should
Yes,
have that
that
done?
is the fraternity expectation.
Okay. Great.
If you need an extension or there's some kind of situation that you think that we should know about, send in an email, and we can definitely talk about what might work best for your chapter.
Okay, great. And that's every year we should expect mid-February being the date.
Correct.
Easy day. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we don't change these deadlines a lot. A lot of our deadlines are written as like first Monday in June and things like that because we do want it to be predictable, so that you're not surprised with some kind of expectation.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you for asking. All right. So speaking of DJs, they are all going to be reaching out to you all very soon, if they have not already, about your district leadership and transition conference. I think it's kind of going to be like this, but like way better. And it's I'm hearing a lot of them are virtual, which kind of breaks my heart because these used to be really good in-person networking events. So another opportunity to be able to network not only with other law students in your area, but the other alumni in your area. So definitely keep an eye out on your inbox from your DJs. We have our DJ Advisory Council. That's our District Justice Advisory Council. They'll be meeting on Sunday, and they're all going to be talking about these district leadership and transition conferences. Please attend. If you can't attend, get somebody else from your chapter to attend, even if they are not currently an officer or not looking to run for an officer. We really want to get those chapters represented so that you can bring the information back. The primary purpose is to develop your leadership skills and provide you all with the resources you need. The resources are here. We are always looking for better ways to get that information to all of you. Can I see if you've been invited to your district leadership transition conference, can you put a thumbs up in the chat if you've already heard about it, if you're already expecting to attend one? If anyone has a really good relationship with their DJ, I'd love to hear about that. They are volunteers, but they are like my favorite volunteers. I think what they do is so important.
I see a thumbs up from Nicholas.
Nicholas, do you want to share?
Yeah, our district justice reached out to us, I think it was either this morning or yesterday, about, well, she reached out to us earlier about hosting it at our law school for our region, and she's been really helpful, Liz Raw.
She's great.
She came to our professional closet opening where it's like a donation-based professional clothing closet. She came for the ribbon cutting and stuff. She's pretty active with our chapter.
Great. Yeah, these DJs are amazing resources. It's like They have all that institutionalized knowledge, and they've been with Phi Alpha Delta for so long. They've been involved in all these councils that we talk about. So they're really going to be able to be a great connection for you all. If your district does not have a district justice, please know we are always recruiting them. If you have suggestions for anyone in your area that might want to serve, we'd love to have them. Okay, so one of the questions that I got before is what are the most important first steps to take as a chapter that went defunct for a little while and is now being revived or reactivated or a new charter? Number one is setting up that leadership. Nobody can do this on their own. You need to be able to have leaders for a chapter to operate. After that, your next thing is going to be recruiting members and then your programming calendar. So those are the most important steps: officers, calendar, and members. If you have that, you have a chapter. So when we're going to talk about recruitment, for us, we always say your best recruitment tool is your programming calendar. So when you're recruiting, think back to why did you join Phi Alpha Delta? What were you hoping to get out of it? And is that what you're providing your members now? I know we only have a few more minutes in this presentation, but I think this is really important. What are your successful events? Where are your members engaging? I want to see some raised hands about what are your successful events so that the other chapters can learn and do those types of events as well. All right. I'm not seeing hands. So I think the ones that are going to be really successful are the ones where people feel like they're getting something out of it. So are you doing a resume review workshop? Are you doing sponsored LinkedIn headshots? Are you having a panel of local attorneys tell you about their experience? Are you having a professor talk to you all about how to do IRAC or note taking, those types of things? Anna, would love to hear from you.
Yes, let me get my camera fixed. 1 second.
So this is like your time to brag on your chapter, everyone.
Yes. Okay. Hello. I'm Anna Wakeling. I'm the clerk of the George Washington chapter at Regent University. Got my Wednesday hair on today. I just noticed that.
Love.
But so our most successful events revolve around food because our student body loves free food. So we've had lunch and learns with local attorneys. We had kind of a more formal dinner event on one occasion where we brought in some local judges and they talked about courtroom etiquette. So anything where you can feed people is definitely a plus.
Great. And how do you fundraise to be able to afford that food?
So our school gives us a stipend we have 2 events per semester that we have a small stipend for. And then if we partner with other student orgs and combine our stipends, we have a bigger budget for that event. So we partnered for our lunch and learn on immigration. We partnered with the Asian Pacific Law Students Association, and we were able to combine our stipends and provide a really good lunch. And if we have any funds left over from a previous event, we're able to roll those into a future.
Oh, Anna, thank you so much for sharing. I think food is a very important one. I think that is something that draws members. And I really want to touch on co-sponsoring events with other organizations. We know the typical Phi Alpha Delta member, this is just one of your many organizations that you are a part of. We love co-sponsoring with other organizations. That co-brand really brings you both legitimacy. So definitely don't think about the other organizations as competition. You really should be able to work together. Phi Alpha Delta has a place for everyone. So just remember, every event can be a recruitment event, and we love co-sponsoring events with other organizations. When you can pool your resources, that's just going to be better for everyone. Yvette, do you have a comment?
Oh, I was going to share what we had being virtually online. We have a little bit more challenges because we're not all in the same state, but we did have 2 successful events. One of them, we had the Northern California Innocence Project. We had them come speak to our chapter, as well as the executive director of the Cal State Bar, which was great because there's a lot of changes that are going on this year. So we were able to reach out to both of them and have them speak, and was well received.
Thank you for sharing. Glad that you guys were able to find those connections. Does anybody else want to share a very successful event or maybe another experience of you co-sponsoring events with other organizations? Daniel, you and Yvette need to get connected. I think she can give you a good perspective on that hybrid and virtual. Go ahead, Daniel.
I just wanted to point out that, we found co-sponsoring events to be exceedingly successful. When we brought the Honorable Meredith Vaca, PAD member who is now a federal judge in the Western District of New York, to speak to our chapter, we partnered with the Asian Pacific Law Students Association, and it was an absolutely massive event. And, it was a bit of an oversight on our part. We neither of us considered food. We didn't have food. We still had one of the largest attended events last semester, and so it was really, really a really cool opportunity. And partnering really, we think, helped us out.
Well, thank you for confirming that. Rebecca?
Yeah, so I did want to share, we actually have an event tonight
Can
that
we
we're
get your name and chapter?
Oh, sorry. Yes, Rebecca Natali. I'm with the Kristen Chi chapter at Cooley Law School. And we actually have an event tonight that we're doing with another PAD chapter at Michigan State. And so we're doing like a social slash networking event where our two chapters are kind of coming together to, meet each other and just build our network and stuff like that. I can tell you more after tonight to see how successful it is, but yeah.
I have no doubt it's going to be successful. Yeah, let's not forget about we can network with our own PAD chapters in the area. We know some districts are closer geographically than others, but that you guys are able to do that is amazing. I want to be mindful of everyone's time. We only had this slated for 1 hour. I have a ton that I want to get through. Like I said, these slides are going to be posted. So I'm going to keep it moving. Thank you all for sharing. The programming calendar, we've touched on all these event categories. These are what we expect you all to hold each semester. This is all in the chapter operations guide online. I think the really important one is to mention, if you check out our benefits page, pad.org/member benefits, that's under the membership tab. All of the partners that you see listed there, not only are they giving you all discounts as Phi Alpha Delta members, but they will come and do programming at your chapter. So whether it's the bar application, bar prep, legal writing, all of those types of things, everyone there will come and speak to your chapter. So if you're not sure where to start with speakers, that's a really good start. You can always use the pad.org calendar. We are constantly adding on webinars and speaker series and leadership content like this. And a lot of our past speaker series are posted on our YouTube channel. So if you guys want to do like a watch party or something like that, programming calendars don't have to be anything crazy. You can start small and grow bigger. But definitely let's tap into that network. Not only our other law school chapters and our alumni members, but we also have pre-law school, pre-law chapters, and they want to hear from you. What to expect from a 1L? How did you get into law school? What are your secrets? They want to hear from you all as well. Make sure every chapter meeting has an event or an activity. Nobody wants to sit in a classroom and just hear about your chapter business. They want to make sure that they're getting something out of giving their time. So convention, we will do a whole nother one of these sessions just on convention. If you haven't seen, it's August 5th through 9th, 2026 in Portland, Oregon. We have a lot of financial options for you all to be able to attend. We have stipends, grants, we have fundraising resources for you. We have sample fundraising letters that you can use for your school. And we can talk more about delegate selection and things like that. Phi Alpha Delta is the legal fraternity. We are a nonprofit, but we are not a charity. We do have the foundation, which is our charitable entity, and that's how a lot of our grants are funded, and they help fund a lot of the convention activities. So thank you to the foundation. Recruitment, this is where I want to spend our last 5 minutes. How does your chapter get people pumped up to join PAD and be a part of PAD? If anybody wants to share here, I would love to hear about any successful recruitment strategies that you have. I can tell you what I suggest all day long, but I want to hear what actually works for you at the law school level. As you guys all know, with these law statistics, less people are going to law school, which means less people are joining Phi Alpha Delta at the law school level. Phi Alpha Delta was founded with law school students, so we want to make sure that we are still meeting our needs of our law school students. So what works for recruitment at your school? I don't see any hands raised yet. I'm going to go very basic tabling. I know your schools have those involvement fairs. Sometimes they're only in the fall, sometimes they're not in the spring. Make sure you guys are at those involvement fairs and tabling. The other thing that really works is making classroom announcements. So ask your professors, can I have 2 minutes at the beginning of class to talk about Phi Alpha Delta, what our next meeting is going to be, what have you gotten out of Phi Alpha Delta? It's really about that storytelling and being able to pass that message. I'm really sad not to see hands raised about what recruitment works for you. So let's dive into it a little bit. A reminder, recruitment is year round. We see so many of our members, especially at the law school level, coming through in the fall. It is not great in the spring. So please remember, recruitment is still important in the spring as well. That's a really good time to tap into maybe your 2Ls or your 3Ls that didn't join, or maybe those transfer students. Make sure all of your members are very informed about the member benefits, because every event, every conversation you have is a potential recruitment opportunity. Social media, make sure that we have your social media. If you guys have an Instagram, a LinkedIn, please send us the links, because when students reach out to us, we share that with them. And we are hearing more and more that people are learning about Phi Alpha Delta because they saw an Instagram post, because they saw something on social media. So it always feels silly for me to talk about social media, but it is a very good tool. So if you don't have those accounts set up, you definitely can. Phi Alpha Delta has a social media policy. It's pretty straight. Be respectful and relevant, but always link back to pad.org. And how are you going to get those engagement in those members? Give everyone a role. Phi Alpha Delta should be a leadership opportunity. Everyone has skills. Everyone has something to offer. Let's give them a title so that they want to show up and be a part of your chapter. And we've talked about this, engaging speakers, engaging calendar, programming calendar. That's going to be a really strong recruitment tool. We could talk about this forever. Recruitment matters because they're bringing new ideas and skills and perspectives. We always want to be growing. Make use of your resources. You should have a recruitment chair if you don't already have one. Get that faculty advisor if you don't already have one. The executive office provides free recruitment boxes. They have brochures and stickers and whatever you need to make your table. This is a free resource that is offered to you all. As members, you do have to request it. If you already have a recruitment box, you can reach out to us and just let us know, hey, I just need brochures, or hey, I just need stickers. Whatever we have in our arsenal, we are happy to pass on to you. Most important part of recruitment is you have to ask people to join. Ask them to fill out that membership application on pad.org. These are our membership benefits and discounts. Just a reminder that the Phi Alpha Delta at the law level, you are a member for life. So you pay that fee and you're a member for life. If you use just one of your membership benefits, it's going to pay for itself. Some recruitment fundamentals. I want to talk about these very quickly. People are not joining Phi Alpha Delta because of these membership benefits, because our network is the largest one behind the American Bar Association. People join people. So recruitment works when those are your friends. When you are creating that community of like-minded students at your school, that's what people want. It's about the friendships. We know the culture at some law schools can be kind of cliquey or competitive. Phi Alpha Delta is not that place. We want to be that supportive community. So people are joining people. You can't recruit who you don't know. Ask people about themselves, find out what their goals are, and then you can start weaving in how Phi Alpha Delta might get them closer to their goals. So reputations are earned through relationships, co-sponsoring events with those other organizations at your campus, doing community service with other organizations in your area. That is what's going to make Phi Alpha Delta have a strong presence in your community. Quantity drives quality. You all know this. We have an open membership policy. As long as you are in good standing, however your school defines good standing, students are welcome to join, and all they need to do is submit their application and payment, and then they are eligible to attend an initiation ceremony. Those are the only requirements for membership. So, we used to do like a meet or beat goal with recruitment. Can you recruit as many people as you did last semester? Or can you recruit a certain percentage of your student population? Everyone at your school in good standing is welcome to join Phi Alpha Delta. It's $100 for a lifetime membership. Does anybody want to share about recruitment before I'm just going through our tips that we have? Okay. So then let's move on from recruitment and engagement. We're going to talk about the initiation ceremony. This is a great question. Is there a specific day or deadline for chapter initiation, for your chapter initiation ceremony? No. You all as chapter officers get to schedule when you hold your initiation ceremony. As soon as your initiation ceremony date is set, please reach out to us to request your certificates and pins. We do our best to get your certificates and pins to you in time for the ceremony. So the sooner we know your initiation ceremony date, the better chance it is that you're going to get those certificates and pins in time for your ceremony. If you don't have them in time for your ceremony, that is completely fine. Please hold your ceremony. Don't reschedule it. You can hand out the red carnation, which is PAD's official flower, instead of the certificate and pin, and you can distribute those at another event. The executive office also holds a virtual initiation ceremony every semester. It's going to be April 10th this semester. Really good opportunity to another virtual networking opportunity to be able to meet with not only new members that are being initiated, but also our alumni members that are recommitting to the fraternity. Go find your dad. All right, so we always get the question how to join. You guys might want to put this in one of your recruitment PowerPoints. Very easy. Apply, fill out your membership application, pay the initiation fee, and then you can be initiated. One of the questions that I get a lot is membership applications are not processed until the next business day. During that time, members cannot log into pad.org, but you can still pay your fee without being logged in. The website is going to ask you to log in. You can pay that fee without being logged in. Part of our processing of applications is linking those payments to people's records. This is all information that you all should know. The law initiation fee is $100. That is if you join at the law school level. If you were a Phi Alpha Delta member at your pre-law school, you only need to pay that senior transition fee and fill out that form. That transition fee is $80. That's the last fee you have to pay to be a member for life. We also have the auxiliary program. So for our members that are not students or not interested in becoming lawyers, for maybe our paralegals, our legal secretaries, we have the auxiliary for them. If they do decide to take a gap year or something like that, a lot of our pre-law gap year people join the auxiliary. You can also go from auxiliary to law school. So at the law school level, you're going to have people who are joining right at the law school level. You're going to have people who are coming from a pre-law undergraduate chapter, and you also are going to have people coming from our auxiliary who maybe took a gap year before going to law school. So no matter where you are in your legal education and career, Phi Alpha Delta has a place for you. There are monthly payment plans available for all of these fees. We understand $100 can be a scary number for some people, so we can break that into monthly payments. If your chapter collects local dues, they have to be collected separately from the international initiation fee. You guys never even need to touch the initiation fee. Don't give yourselves that headache. Just have people join and pay online. New member materials, we talked about this. Your certificates and pins can be requested by us. This is the form right here. This link is on that resources and policies page. So as soon as you know your initiation ceremony date, fill out this form. This form is just letting us know your date and your mailing address, and we will continue to send them throughout the semester as new members join and pay. If you are hybrid or you have people who don't come to campus, there is an option for them to have their certificates and pins mailed to them directly for a $10 service fee. If your chapter is entirely online, we do send those materials individually automatically. Did you want to talk about any of this, Zena?
I am putting it in the chat. to remember to request a roster before your ceremony, just so you know who's eligible to invite. Another thing is you might get some members that were pre-law previously, and they do still need to transition to law school membership to be initiated as well. So there is a form for that online, our senior transition.
Right. So as you guys are transitioning through your legal education career, just keep in touch with us so that we can make sure that your membership record is accurate and current. You guys can read this another day. Reactivations. We can talk about that another time. These are some really good save the dates if you guys want to take a, I'll be sending this out, but the law school mock trial is coming up next month. We would love to see you all compete in 2026. It's always around the end of February, beginning of March. It's in Arlington, Virginia, which is right outside of Washington, D.C. We do a lot of events in the D.C. area. That's our capital. PAD Day at the U.S. Supreme Court. Once you become a PAD alumni member and you meet some other qualifications, this is my favorite event. You can become admitted to the U.S. Supreme Court with Phi Alpha Delta. We are the longest running organization that has been doing it there, besides, I think, Georgetown. And it's an opportunity to meet with the Supreme Court justices. One of them usually comes and visits with our members, and you will be able to go into the courtroom and see them sitting. Pre-law conference is taking place November 5th through the 9th in Alexandria, again, right outside of DC. We would love to have our law school students there. If you want to come to represent your law school, you might be able to get your admissions department to pay for that trip for you. And you can come table and talk to Phi Alpha Delta pre-law members about your law school experience at that specific law school. So if you're someone that likes to travel, definitely get connected with your admissions department and see if you can be the representative for your school at the PAD pre-law conference. We hold one of the largest law school fairs in the country. Very successful event. If any of you are pre-law members, you probably know what I'm talking about. And then convention, we've already talked about August 5th through the 9th in 2026. I want you to all be fundraising now so that you can attend. This is really going to be able to give you that bigger picture of Phi Alpha Delta and not just what's going on at your chapter level. Important dates and deadlines. We talked about all those. February 15th is your election deadline. April 15th is your deadline to complete your officer transition process. It's also when calendars are due to the executive office for the fall. So we really want you guys forward thinking here. We talked about having this fraternity-wide virtual initiation and recommitment ceremony April 10th. April 18th is our Society of Scholars scholarship deadline. Phi Alpha Delta has an open membership policy. We do not have a GPA or class rank requirement, but we do acknowledge those with a high class rank. If you are ranked in the top third of your class, you can join the Society of Scholars. And one of the benefits of the Society of Scholars is that you can apply for this scholarship. This scholarship is sponsored by some of our partners. June 2nd, award applications are due. As a reminder, you can submit them at any time. And let's remember November 8th, PAD Founders Day. We usually have a whole week of events, and we'd love to get you all involved. That's also when the spring calendars are going to be due for next spring. The executive office is here as your resource. We have a lot of resources for you. We want to help you all. All right. So we went 10 minutes over time. Thank you all for being here today. I will stay on this call for anybody that wants to talk more or has more questions. But as a reminder that we are also available to schedule more individualized visits. So if your chapter needs a little bit more help, we can definitely schedule time to talk about how we can best meet your needs. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing your experiences. And thank you for all the time that you've given to Phi Alpha Delta. That service does not go unnoticed. So I am going to stop the recording. So if anybody would like to speak more frankly, this is definitely your time.